Thank you. Yeah, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. We do really appreciate it. So yes, if I can press the button. There we go. Yes, so I'll be talking, giving a little bit of the nuts and bolts in terms of how the research for social care call works, the timings, and then David will give a bit more of an elaboration of what it is we're really looking for from the call, from applications. So my name's Laura Mason. I'm the Senior Programme Manager for Research for Social Care. And also you may notice in the chat, Rifat works within the team as well, so we'll also be helping with any questions, so you're likely to speak to both of us at some point. So very broadly, the Research for Social Care call is currently run on an annual basis, and £3 million is allocated per call, and we generally aim to fund 10 to 15 high quality proposals per round, and applications will be assessed by a single national committee of social care research experts. It's a two-stage application process, with stage one, where we ask for a sort of outline application, and the deadline for that is the 19th of January next year. So you've got a bit of time to apply for this. And shortlisted applicants then from that stage are then invited to complete a full stage 2 application in April 22, with those final outcomes in September 22. So the whole process takes about a year or so, which I'll talk a little bit more about what that will look like, what you might be able to expect at each stage. So just to give you a little bit of a history of the Research for Social Care call. So what we do is we aim to fund research which generates evidence to improve, expand and strengthen the way adult social care is delivered for use of care services, carers and the public. So currently we've run 3 successful calls, and sort of looking at that stage process. So stage 1, we generally get kind of 20-30 applications. They go through that rigorous process of that we'll talk a bit more about. Then stage 2, we generally take 10 to 20 applications through. So last year we funded 9 projects, so that total amount of funding was 2.6 million, and actually, as we generally are allocated £3 million per call, does suggest that we do have opportunity for when things are when projects show value of funding them. So we're very keen to fund even more next time. And applications are assessed by our single national committee of social care research experts. So we do really see ourselves as kind of unique in being able to offer that, those sort of experts who are really able to understand what is the social care value of this piece of work. So we hope you'll consider applying for call 4. David will speak much more about this, but broadly kind of at that stage 1, when the committee are looking through your initial stage 1 applications, they're looking at the social care benefit, the so what, why does this research actually matter? Is the research question relevant and important? How important is it actually to social care users? You know, this is when we're looking for, it's not just nice to know, actually what is the benefit? So we really encourage you to draw that out. Are the methods in the team appropriate to actually achieve the objectives? And is the approach acceptable to care users or carers? We need to make sure it doesn't provide too much of a burden or too much of a barrier to entry. And competitiveness, quite simply, does it look like it will need lots of revisions to be fit for purpose, or actually is it well on the way there? So as I mentioned, in terms of the kinds of applications that we fund, they can be up to £350,000 and up to 3 years in length. So I know within other calls, within NIHR, there are formal tiers in terms of different types of projects that might apply for different funding amounts. That's not something we do in research for social care. However, we do expect that those at the higher funding amount are those that are nearer to achieving their trajectory on social care benefit. Maybe if it's something more exploratory, where it's less close to that social care benefit, we might expect that to be less high cost. It's worth noting that at the moment we do only fund adult social care, including the transition into adult social care from children's social care, so 16 plus. And if you want guidance, we're really happy to help kind of check whether it feels in remit. So you're very much invited to submit a pre-submission form, which is available on the Research for Social Care call website, but you can also speak to your local RDS team. And just in terms of a little bit more about what we fund. So we expect funded projects to have a high degree of involvement from users of social care and social care practitioners throughout the research. So that means that even just from the very design stage, from that very beginning, we expect a meaningful amount of involvement, and to have proper strong links and collaborations with people with social care needs, as well as social care service users and carers and providers of care. And we expect the projects to demonstrate benefits to care users and carers. It's important to note that applications can be submitted by universities, local authorities and NHS bodies based in England. However, if you are within an organisation that doesn't come under one of those categories, you are able to partner with an organisation who is within one of those categories, and we're very happy to talk to you about that. And in terms of kind of the topic that you might be looking at, we really are very open to all different kinds of research. So from evaluating social care needs and relevant outcomes, to secondary data analysis, to looking at developing and improving research methods in social care. I'll share these slides so you can see them. But in terms of the breadth of research we funded, so we funded research into supporting adults with learning disabilities and improving the way that they're able to manage their personal finances. We've looked at improving social care practice through examining the impact of local area coordination. In terms of preventative research, we've funded research measuring the social care outcomes of people with dementia and their carers. We've funded research into identifying a trigger question, to identify gambling harm, to identify those people who might be at risk of experiencing harm from gambling. So really wide range of topic methodology people were engaging with. So please don't feel restricted in any way. Excuse me. And as Ned will be speaking about shortly, we have a highlight notice with Autistica this time. So if you are applying with research that has particularly relevance to autism, to improving care and services, then you may be able to apply for an additional up to £100,000 on top of that. But we can speak more about that later. Excuse me. As I mentioned, applications can be submitted by universities, local authorities and NHS bodies, and they must be based within England. I will move on to any questions. Sorry, I think there's some come through in chat. Shall I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just looking at the chat, there's been a couple of questions asked and answered, but one of the questions that's not been answered is around pre-application forms, whether there's a pre-application form and when does that need to be submitted by? Oh,
brilliant, thank you. So that we So the pre-application form, I'll pop a link in the chat, or maybe Rifat can. That's on the, sorry, the Research for Social Care page. And basically, as long as you need, it really can be submitted by. So, you know, we would definitely advise you to submit those sooner rather than later. But anytime, probably I would advise you if you submit them before Christmas. So you definitely have time to complete your application, but anytime. Normally takes us about 3 days to respond.
Okay, thank you, Laura. And there's another question just come through around the role of ECRs as the lead applicant, and whether you could say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very encouraging. I'm assuming by ECR we mean early career researcher, but we are really keen to see early career researchers apply for this call. We do expect them to be appropriately supported. So we would expect to see, will they be working with someone else who's able to provide that experience and support, but it's something we're definitely keen to look for, and something that will be kindly looked on by the committee as well.